Okay, so in the early 60s, a new trend emerged that started spreading across the restaurants of the United States, which was instead of giving your order to a waiter, you gave it through a phone. Your order was routed directly through the kitchen on your own line that was part of the building's own private circuit. Every order made, your table number rang on a switchboard just 10 feet away. But how did this get started, and what happened to it? The earliest mention of this system dates back to 1903, less than 30 years after the invention of the telephone. Here, in New Jersey, proprietor of the Hotel Rudolph, Charles R. Myers, had telephones placed on every table of the hotel's cafe, all connected to a central station. Customers would place their orders directly to the bar or the kitchen, and a waiter would bring it to them. However, Charles' idea was slow to catch on. The next restaurant to use it came 20 years later, out in Canada. Though it's unknown what this restaurant's name was, going by the small blurb here, it seems their system was exactly the same. It would be yet another 3 decades until another restaurant got into the press using this system, a small bowling alley out in Austin, Texas, by the name of Dart Bowl, a bit of a downgrade from fine dining. It would be then adapted into a few drive-in restaurants around the same period. By the 1960s, this was getting picked up more often. In 1963, this system would be franchised for the first time in a restaurant called King's Food Host, which was relatively popular during that time. In 1966, it was once coined the Interphone system. However, this name never seemed to catch on. By the late 60s, this system starts to explode. Ott's Drive-In had an entire computerized ordering system that was an ancestor to our present-day touchscreen ordering systems. Customers would call and someone would punch their order in, something the press ran with entitled computerized hamburgers. The telephone system was being used in dinner theaters, restaurants, bars, and nightclubs. And then Pizza Hut weighed in. In 1969, a restaurant by the name of Next Door was being built and tested in Wichita, Kansas. This strange Revolutionary War-themed restaurant was started by 3 mysterious men in Oklahoma. Pizza Hut's co-founder Dan Carney liked the idea so much they bought it and turned it into a franchise. The building was brightly colored with toy soldier statues on the walls, 18th century American paintings, and specialized in hamburgers, spaghetti, onion rings, and curly fries, along with strange menu items like the Paul Revere chili or the Spirit of 76, which was quite literally milk chocolate on ice. They would use the same system as before, but this time this system would cut out the waiter entirely. Customers would order their meal and pick it up too.
I thought it was pretty efficient because whenever you were ready, you picked up the phone and whoever's behind the counter would grab it right then. So you thought it wasn't like you had to flag down a waiter or go stand in line up in front of the counter or anything like that.
The only problem is Pizza Hut was opening next door locations across the nation way too quickly, and almost immediately, they were losing money. To try and cut back on this, they redesigned the restaurant to be smaller, ditching the pickup system entirely and going back to waitresses giving your food. But even then, by 1972, Pizza Hut stopped opening new next-door locations and let the ones that stood go as long as they want. It wasn't until the late 90s and early 2000s that the last ones really started to go out. But those who went to next door still remember it, and it really seems to stay in the heart of those who worked there.
We all went to high school together and pretty much dated, a lot of us dated within that group. And it was just a lot of fun. After hours, it turned into like a little party while we were cleaning. We didn't think about, how much work there was cleaning the grills and getting everything washed and trying to get things done. The music was going, everybody was just having a great time. So it was fun. It was good times.
Next Door's minor success seems to inspire a copycat of sorts, Round the Corner. With a similar theme, now instead of the Revolutionary War, it's the Victorian era, Round the Corner functioned almost exactly the same. With American food and a pickup system, their first location opened around 1978. Comparing their menu with Next Door's, the instructions on ordering are exactly the same, word for word, so I'll let you decide what happened here. By the 1980s, the system fizzled out a little bit. A new franchise by the name of Streeters adopted the system in 1985, now flaunting it as a no-tip way of ordering, but it seemed it didn't last too long. In 1983, Russ's Restaurant in Holland, Michigan, built a new location with a room specifically for this system, which was unofficially called the no-tipping room. Russ called their system the Teledyne system. Surprisingly, Russ's is still alive and well, and if you're around Holland, you can still experience this forgotten way of ordering. Other restaurants, such as Dad's Family Restaurant in Washington and the Woodhouse Restaurant in North Dakota, which actually used to be a King's Food Host, are both still open and still use the same phones they have been for the past 40 or 50 years. While this system isn't entirely extinct, it's clear that the Interphone, Teledyne, whatever you want to call it, way of ordering has certainly been left behind. But who knows, maybe it could make a comeback. Though I doubt it.